What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Time for another one of these, and this one's going to be tough because I don't really know where I am right now. I don't really know how to feel at the moment. I've got a lot of conflicting emotions at the moment. I'm not completely down the way I was in my last video, but we are a long way away from up. Not a very good 10-game stretch. We got beat up by the Angels. We lost 2 games to the Red Sox. Uh, Really not what we were looking for overall. We did beat up on the White Sox, hooray, but there was an opportunity to really shift the vibes on the season, and it didn't happen yet. But I could see it happening. I'm not without hope. I'm just without proof. So it's I feel like 10 games from now, when I make my next Mariners video, because I do plan on making another one, I'm going to have a much better idea of where I am mentally with this team. But right now, it feels like limbo. It just feels like limbo because on the one hand, we're still first place in the AL West, or tied for first place, however you want to put it. We're, I think, a couple percentage points behind the Astros technically, but we're basically in first place with Houston. Houston's not really playing all that good lately. They've cooled off significantly. And we did make some significant moves at the trade deadline to get better. We did add a couple of pieces that should make this stuff go a little bit better. And in a couple weeks here, when we get some of these players back, like Julio's going to come back, JP's going to come back, you're going to at least have a chance at a real lineup, right? You're going to at least have a 1-9 that is intriguing. Maybe one guy will be complete dead weight, but it'll at least have a chance. And you've still got a really good pitching staff that shows up and gives you a chance to win almost every game you play, but it's all theoretical. It all actually needs to happen. Like, I say all that, but JP Crawford needs to actually start playing competently at the plate again. He really has not been good this season overall, and he's gone through multiple dead zones. Julio has gone through multiple super slumps this season. So when he comes back and we've got, what, 60 games left, how do I know that he's going to keep up a high level of play the way he was playing before he got hurt, maybe? That was pretty good. How do I know that Victor Robles is going to maintain his inhumanly hot stretch of baseball ever since he got to the Mariners? And how do I know that these pieces we added are going to actually be meaningful when we need it the most? I wish I could have more confidence in this stuff, right? But I'm just looking at it. I'm trying to figure out where this is going to go. I'm looking at this set of hitters, because obviously the offense is everything, right? If the offense gets going, we can do some stuff. But um, it's still the same frustrations, right? Like Luke Raley's completely fallen off a cliff. He's basically been well below average for a couple months now. And on the season now, he is a dead on average batter, more or less. He is 99 ops plus. And he was the only guy I wanted to watch play baseball with a bat in his hand for a while there. He's completely cooled off. So do we have that? Is that something we can lean on going forward? I don't know anymore. Dylan Moore, he's heated up over the last half a week or so after an extended stretch of not very good baseball, but we know that Dylan Moore's streaky. When's that going to go away? When's he just going to go back to being a utility player who's being asked to do way too much because this team isn't good enough to put him in his desired role? It's we finally cut bait with the Ty France, which, thank God, right? We stopped playing that game with Ty France where he would play really, really bad for like 3 weeks, and we'd all be like, we have to get rid of him. And then he'd play decently for a couple weeks, and then we'd be like, well, I guess we gotta see where this goes. Maybe he found it again. And then he goes back to being one of the worst players in baseball, and you do that over and over and over again. I'm really happy this team finally decided, you know what, we're just going to be done with it. We're just going to let him go. We basically let him go. I know we traded him, but we didn't get anything back. So we sent him to Cincinnati, and finally we're free, right? We're free of Ty France. And we don't have to play that game anymore of he strings you along with a decent stretch of baseball, maybe like a week where he's hitting well, maybe a couple home runs in big situations. And now we don't have to worry about him doing that anymore and just pulling us to this atrocious situation at first base. But now you got to do it with Haniger and Garver. Haniger in particular gives you nothing anymore, and it feels like every couple weeks he hits a home run, and then you're back on the merry-go-round where you're like, okay, maybe he's turning it around here. Maybe this is the moment where he finds his stroke at the plate again. Maybe he starts hitting again, and then you're just sitting there waiting for another spark of life for a couple weeks. He gives it to you, and you're just stuck. You got to let it go. And I know that the reason you probably won't do that is because of money, but you got to prove to me, this team has to prove to the fans that they prioritize winning and good baseball on some level. And Haniger is a zero-tool player. He is dead on a zero-tool player. Maybe there's a little bit of power there, but it's nowhere near worth it. It's not like it's power that you're happy about. And same with Garver, right? Like Garver, he goes through these extended stretches where he can't hit anything off speed. He swings at everything. He strikes out over and over and over again. He pops out on pitches right down the middle. He gets pitches that should be 500-foot home runs and dribbles them to second base or shortstop. And I know there's some stuff going on with Garver with the fan base that is not okay, but regardless of any of that stuff, which obviously that's if you don't know what's going on with Garver, go check out social media. It's all over the place. But there's some stuff going on there that is not good. I totally get that. But as a baseball decision, Garver needs to not play anymore. Garver needs to be DFA'd. Garver needs to be... He is quite possibly the worst player in baseball. I think in terms of adding and subtracting value per opportunity, you cannot get worse than Garver. He's a designated hitter that can't hit. And when he does play catcher, which he does occasionally do, he's not very good at it. If you want to keep him around as like a backup catcher, I might understand that if he was good at it, but I don't think that he is. I think you could call up your AAA catcher. Too bad Blake Hunt's gone, but you can call up somebody, and you're not really losing anything. Not anymore. Obviously, yesterday was the low point, the rock bottom point for Mitch Garver. But other than like this one stretch of baseball where he was really starting to hit again, he's been in a permanent downswing in this whole year. And I just wonder what we did to deserve this. How many times are we going to have this happen? How many times are we going to have, how many times are we going to do Colton Wong? How many times are we going to do, to a certain extent, Adam Frazier? How many times are we going to do Jesse Winker? And just watch these guys forget how to play baseball when they come here. And you've got something like Jorge Polanco, who's finding the stroke again, actually starting to hit again, hitting with some power, some pop. And then he gets hurt, and I don't know what's going on with that right now. You got Victor Robles, who comes out of nowhere and starts playing like Alex Rodriguez, basically, at the plate. And now he's hurt. Don't know what's going to happen there, but we did not need anything to knock him off of where he was. So I'm excited to see what happens with this lineup, because I do think that Turner and Arozarena are good additions. And so far, both those guys have been pretty good. So far, both those guys have done damage. They've helped us win a couple of games. But we're going to need the pieces that we already had to actually start playing better. It's not going to just be the guys we traded for that save us. Like, you try to put it together in your head. You've got like, okay, you've got Crawford, theoretically a good player, has not really been a good player this year, but theoretically can be okay. Robles, Arozarena, Rodriguez, Rojas, Rayleigh, Polanco, Cal. Like, that's 8 guys. I can see it happening, but then again, is it all going to happen at once? And then maybe you've got one spot in the lineup that's like, okay, you're just going to give it to Dylan Moore, I guess. And he's capable of going on a little bit of a hot streak. You've got 9 guys. It's not the most ridiculous thing to suggest, but I'm tired of waiting for it. And, you know, there's a part of me that is even like, okay, do I even want this to go that well? Do I even want to see this work out a little bit, enough to save Dipoto and Scott? Because I'll tell you, you know, I've always been a Scott defender, but it's been tough lately. Like last night, or yesterday afternoon, excuse me, was a complete joke. Like, if you told me he decided to throw that game in the bottom of the 10th, I'd believe you. Why are you pitching to Devers? Honestly, if he came out and admitted, I basically decided I didn't want to win the game after we failed to score in the top of the 10th, I'd respect that more than him saying I made a mistake. So, I don't know what I even really want. And by the way, if this doesn't work out and we don't make the playoffs, or we don't have the success that we were expecting to have this year, and we're in a situation at the end of the year where most people still want to move off of Dipoto and Scott, now there's a real possibility that they just get to blame things on injuries, because Julio got hurt and Crawford has missed a lot of time this year. And now we're looking at whatever's going to happen with Polanco. I don't know what's going to happen with Polanco now. And Robles, playing out of his mind, is now looking like he's going to miss a little bit of time. So there's certainly a scenario where there's not even a pound of flesh. There's not even like, oh, somebody's at least going to get fired for the failure. No, they're just going to say people got hurt. What do you want? And that doesn't even get into like Wu and now Santos. Like, it's a real possibility. And I know I spent basically this whole video talking about the offense, but I don't know what else to really talk about. I don't know what else merits discussion at this point in time. Like, this is everything. Either the offense figures it out or not. So you can put together a quality lineup with these pieces in theory, but they all got to actually start playing good at the same time. So the pitching, Gilbert had a bad outing last time out. He's still pitching really well. Castillo's good. Kirby's good. I mean, we're getting about as good as you could hope for from this rotation. It would really suck to waste it. I know Wu keeps getting hurt, and that's a problem we might have to deal with the whole rest of the season. I know that there are some guys in this bullpen that just stop getting the job done, like Stanek, really not doing it right now. Well, Stanek's gone, so it's not like he can hurt us anymore. But I think the bullpen will be fine. We added Garcia. I think he'll be good for us. He's been good for us so far in the little bit of work he's gotten. So I think the pen is going to be cool. I think the rotation is going to be cool, but we can't have games like yesterday. And look, I will say this. Since the trades, this offense has been a lot better. They had 4 good games in a row where they actually scored a lot of runs. And then they had whatever happened yesterday, which was obviously an abomination. But it has gotten a little bit better in a very small sample size, but now people are getting hurt. And now we're going to be looking to some of the guys who have been kind of struggling lately to do something. And realistically, even though I just said Garver needs to go, he's probably going to get a couple more games here because of these injuries. And we got to at least try to get something out of it. Canzone is still injured, remember. So I know this was kind of a rambly video, but I don't know where else to take this. I don't really know what to say anymore. I just kind of feel... I just kind of feel ambivalent about things right now. Do I even want this to work when I could have a new manager next year and a new general manager? Of course, I would rather this work. That's the easiest way, but there's a part of me that is starting to really join the vast majority of Mariners fans, or it feels like the majority, that are kind of tired of looking at Scott's service and want to take a look at something new. All right, that's going to be enough. I don't know where else to take this. It's just, if I know that the situation doesn't seem that bad, but if you watch this team enough, you know why I'm the way that I am right now. See you guys in a couple weeks. Go Mariners. Show me something, guys.